What's up, everybody? This is Parental Composure, and this episode, we're bringing you adulting. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mike Ayers, and I'm here with the Mother of the Year, Miss Elise Sombrano. I don't mean to make fun of your last name. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize.
that's pretty messed up.
Sorry.
I'm being too loud. Well, I'm glad to be here. And guess what? We have a guest with us today. Hannah
What's
Rice.
up?
Yes. And Hannah actually does another podcast with our community now called Will You Accept This Rosé? Right?
That's correct.
No, I will not.
Well, too bad.
Too bad. And you focus on like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, all that series.
So obviously The Bachelor season just ended last week, but I do post-show recaps of just everything that went down, give my opinions on everything that happened, and just talk a lot of shit, honestly. But it's a lot of fun. And obviously we're on a bit of a hiatus right now because the new season has not come out yet, but I will be back for The Bachelorette. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah,
And if you guys are into any of that, trust me, Hannah is a true fan. Like, she's the leader of Bachelor Nation, I think.
I think I started watching from the very beginning with my mom. Always watched The Bachelor. It's a guilty pleasure that I just never gave up. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's something that you and your mom do together?
Oh, yeah. I've watched it since the early days in the 2000s when it was even more cringy, if you can imagine that. It was even more cringy than that. But
my mom would watch MASH with me.
Oh, MASH? Oh, dang. You're giving away your
Airwolf.
age.
We watched that and American Idol. We were big American Idol people.
Okay.
So.
Sorry, Josh is talking to me and I have to get closer to the mic.
We're good. No worries. We're off topic anyway.
Well, today we're going to be talking about adulting, and we have Hannah with us because, Hannah, you are 23, almost 24, and
technically, legally an adult, but
how do you
how
feel?
I feel internally does not quite match that.
Do you feel older or younger?
I mean, I feel pretty mature for my age, but obviously, I'm only 23 and there's still a lot of life to live and a lot of things to learn, so it is what it is.
I would agree. I think you do seem more mature for your age, which is a good thing. And I think sometimes that probably doesn't come from outside influences. It's probably something you gain from a family. I don't know, don't you think? If you act older, it's probably because you're with a family that kind of acts like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think my parents, they contributed a lot to me having a high maturity level and how they raised me and all that. And I think one thing can be said for having older siblings and being the youngest. I think sometimes you just naturally mature a little faster if you have older siblings. So I've just noticed that a lot with my friends and peers and stuff. So
I think this would be a good time to give me and Elise credit, too. So for those who don't know, Hannah is also on Elise and I's team for work.
We have the best team ever.
We actually try to follow her lead because we're tired of being old. So we're just trying to be young.
Seriously, just make us young again because adulting is not that fun.
Yeah, we're definitely in an industry where out of all of us, I feel like I grew up with technology the longest, so
must be nice.
It's kind of how our generation was raised. I would argue that this new generation is just going to be even more next level because I didn't really some of the social media platforms I didn't even have until high school. I think Facebook was the first one for me, and that was late elementary school, early middle school, which still seems
interesting,
young, but I mean, part of my mom and the way that they raised me is my parents made me write a full out statement of why I deserve to have a Facebook and how I'm going to be responsible.
That is a fantastic idea.
That is.
I was so mad in the moment and so annoyed, but it was probably a very good parenting moment for my mom because my dad's kind of always the stricter one, and that was a moment that she kind of put her foot down. But I think it was new to them too, and their kids wanting to be on it, so they probably just took a more cautious approach.
I fight that battle every single day with my 10-year-old.
I mean, I think now it's I'm kind of scared to be like where you guys are at, where like my kids are going to be even worse.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and I
feel
don't
for
know.
you.
And like having a phone, like my parents, their rule was like having the point where I got a phone was basically when I was going to be spending time by myself or needing rides from other people from school, and just moments where I may need to like reach out to them in the case of an emergency or something like that. So I think that was their thought process. So I got one when I was about like maybe 12, but it didn't really do as much as the phones do now. Like I could like call, text, and like play Tetris, and that was about it. Like, and like download stupid ringtones that me and my friends would all have different ones for each other.
Oh, I remember that.
And that was about it.
Well, that sounds pretty much like I would do, except for the whole social media thing. That sounds like a great idea. I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, that is.
Oh,
a good
Riley,
idea.
you want a Facebook? Let's see an essay on that.
And and you have it in writing too.
Well, I
so.
think, yeah, my mom just wanted me to know that, like, it's not a place where everything is always sunshine and rainbows. Like, there's bad people on the internet. So you got to be aware of that, even more now than ever. So I think it was a good strategy
I know.
for my mom.
Yeah, that is a good strategy.
Yeah.
Well,
Right
kudos
now-
to your parents because it
Yeah.
sounds like they did a great job.
They are great parents. I owe a lot to them. So
I wish my kids would say that.
they will. They will
yeah.
someday.
They
Once,
will.
I mean, there's a lot of life to live before you get to that point, but like, I think on the topic of being an adult, I think those moments where you do have to make decisions by yourself and kind of get backed into a corner and like your morals really have to kind of come to the forefront. Those
Yeah.
things that your parents taught you really shine through, and you're thankful.
Yes. So do you have any siblings, or is it just you? Or
I do. I have two older brothers. One's 30 and one is, how old is Josh? He's 26. He'll be 27 in July.
okay, so you are the youngest then in your family.
Yes, yeah, I'm the baby. I have a lot of older cousins too. A lot of my cousins and extended family, they were my brother's age, and so I was just always the youngest. And now that some of my cousins are having kids now, I don't feel like the youngest, but that's just definitely how I grew up, always the youngest.
Do you feel like that kind of helped you, like when it came to having older siblings, seeing what they were going through?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got to watch Josh make a lot of mistakes and Ryan too, but I don't know. I think it gave me the opportunity to learn from them and not repeat those mistakes. So that was helpful and saved me a lot of time and just bad moments of my parents not being happy with me. So I was
I'm sure.
definitely kind of like the I can do no wrong in their eyes type child for a while, but
That's a nice
Then I-
position to be in.
well, then high school came along, and my dad probably didn't think that so much anymore. But
I think high school is the cutoff. It's like,
yeah,
you're my baby, but now you hit high school, not anymore.
The reality comes out. Well, so after, growing up and everything, when you got to college, so you went to college, first of all. That was...
I did. Yeah, I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. But I grew up in Colorado my whole life, so that I looked a lot at going to schools out of state because I just really wanted to go somewhere outside of Colorado and be in a new place. But at the end of the day, I felt like we live about an hour from Boulder, my parents, so I felt like that was like a nice distance.
Yeah.
And I really loved Boulder, and it was a good choice for me. So
That is, for
yeah,
sure.
So I did
It's a
4 years
beautiful
there
area.
and graduated in 2018.
So did you go right after high school
I
into
did.
college?
Yep,
Okay.
I did. So
Awesome.
right in there.
So, coming out of college, do you feel like you were life ready after graduating? Or was there like this shock, like, oh crap, I'm getting out of school now, I have to be an adult? How did that go?
I mean, I think I did feel ready in some ways. Like I remember when leading up to graduation the few months prior, I was kind of like, you know what, like I'm over this. Like some of the things that go down in college, I think I've just outgrown, and I just like don't want to do the party thing anymore. And like school is just like annoying me, and I just want to be done. So that's which now I like see people in college, and I'm so jealous. Like I wish I could go back, but especially now that they're all out of school and don't have to do anything, but I pity them in a way
know.
because of that too, because that could be really difficult. But anyway, but yeah, I did feel ready. I got to live by myself, so that was like a good learning experience. I think because I was very blessed, and my parents helped me financially a lot with like my living situation, my college. So like my dad definitely took the ropes on like paying bills and things like that. So I think it didn't really hit until I made the decision to move to Los Angeles about 2 months after I graduated college, which was kind of crazy. I just kind of got a job and then told my parents like I'm going, and they're like, okay. I mean, but they supported me. I think they knew that that was going to be a great growing experience sure.
Oh yeah.
But
LA. Hey, mom, dad, look, I got this job. Heading to LA. I love you guys, but yeah, that would be kind of a shock to me.
So yeah, I think the initial shock of like feeling like I didn't really know what I was doing didn't hit until LA, where I was paying all my own bills, and they were not cheap because LA is not cheap. Having my own job, like basically like fighting all my own battles in that way, because my parents were like 1,000 miles away. Like I couldn't really, all I could do was call them for advice. I couldn't really like have them do things for me. Like I kind of got used to. I mean, I think they did a good job. Like they didn't coddle me so hard that I didn't know how to do anything, because I had a lot of friends that grew up with that experience, and that was very obvious when they tried to do like life things. It was a little startling. You're like, okay. But I mean, I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't until LA that things really sunk in, that I was by myself and I needed to handle things on my own. And if I made a mistake, it was my job to mop it up. My parents couldn't fix it for me. I had to figure out my own finances. I had to time manage myself. I had to manage how much I could spend and like be responsible with my spending.
And how old were you when you moved out there?
22.
Oh, wow.
So I was only there for a year. I didn't like it, honestly. Like it wasn't all about like me being on my own. I think that was a really good thing for me, but just LA as a place, I didn't really feel like I fit in, and it was a little more expensive than I would like to live, and I couldn't really live the way I wanted to because of how expensive it was. So I made the choice to move back, and I got the job at Penn, obviously, which was awesome, and it's been great. I really enjoy it.
Good.
Being in Colorado, and it's obviously super nice to be near my parents. It's like, I feel like a large weight came off of me, at least being in the same state as them, like if something did happen. But they definitely, like, we both kind of like got in this habit of like, they don't really help me with things. They're like, you're an adult, you can do it. So now that I'm in Colorado, I don't really get the sense that they like jumped all over me again, trying to like do everything for me, which I wouldn't expect them to either. But
so it sounds like the way that your parents have done things, like, would you say that that has been the best way, at least for you? I mean, helping you through college, the fact that they were able to do so is awesome, because not all parents can do that. But I mean, I'm sure that, I mean, we couldn't do it right now either. It's tough, but it sounds like that was able to kind of help you focus on your schooling. And then once you got out, they were kind of like, okay, like,
yeah, I mean, with the whole financial part of it, I think my parents, they've made it very clear that my parents really didn't come from a lot of money. Like their families don't have a lot of money, and they just worked their asses off their whole careers, and they're huge workaholics, which was a little difficult, but it made me more independent in that way. But their whole goal was to be able to pay for me and my brother's college and make us, I don't know, allow us to focus on our education rather than trying to like work and focus on our education. But they also made it very clear to us that like not everyone gets this, and this is something that we should be extremely thankful for, and realize that it doesn't come without like a compromise. Like if I didn't get the grades that my parents expected me to, then they would take it away in a second. And I watched it happen to my brother, unfortunately. He was not doing well in school, and they didn't hesitate at all. They pulled him out and kind of waited for him to get his shit together, for lack of better words. And then they put him in a different school that was a little bit better for him.
Yeah.
So now that you're older, my question is, do you understand why your parents did that? You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, since we're paying for this, you know what? If you don't keep your grades up, then we're just going to yank it. Like a lot of kids would be like, my parents just don't love me. That's why they did it, blah, blah, blah. But now that you're an adult, like you can understand why they did that and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it makes total sense, and I'll probably follow the same outline with my kids if I'm fortunate enough to be able to pay for that for them. But I think, I mean, that was always, like I said, a goal that they wanted for their kids and they saved up for and always kind of thought about and saved and that kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, they always made sure that I knew that you can't just take that kind of thing for granted.
Yeah.
There was a lot of kids, like especially at the school that I went to, that were very spoiled and entitled and thought that they just deserved it. And my parents just made sure that that's not the mentality that I took on, which I never did. And I mean, I think not that I would ever want what happened to my brother to happen. Obviously that was unfortunate for him, but I mean, it kind of called my parents' bluff and they were like kind of made me check myself. Like, okay, I can't mess up. I got to get good grades and I got to be responsible and I can't get in any trouble or anything like that. So
that's awesome.
Good for them.
Yeah.
My kids would be like, he doesn't love me anymore. He gave up on me. And it's like, you got to understand. I mean, I can't talk because my kids are still at home. So, but.
Well, I mean, it's different for everyone, though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your kids being at home, especially because your daughters are 18 and 20.
Yes,
right?
at least that's when they're supposed to be gone.
Well, I'm just saying, there's nothing bad or good. We're just getting
One
like
has
the
tried to
different
leave,
perspective.
but she, and I let her leave because I knew she was going to see that the grass isn't actually greener on the other side.
No, and I totally agree with that. I think
And
that's great.
The thing is, it's not like I was like, you know what, go, done, washing my hands. It's not like
Right.
that. I kept a close eye
Right.
on her, and then when I knew she hit rock bottom, I was like, okay, you can come back now.
Yeah.
But I never told her that. I guess now I just did. But but that's the thing. It's and it's not just with school. It's just like like if you were making a car payment for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? All right, look, if you mess up at work, I'm not going to pay your car anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's because of something you did, and you just feel like you're entitled to this, then I'm not going to pay your car anymore.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when you do that, when they try to call your bluff, like you said your brother did, and I do it, see, I know my kids, they will go off and tell other family members how much I hate them, and that, that's the thing. And when they get to the mature age, as like Hannah is now, I know they'll see that, okay, now I completely understand. But now they are paying their own bills.
That's great.
They pay their own car payments. They pay their own insurance. We don't help them out with any of that.
Yeah.
They even pay us rent. It's a little bit of rent, but it's just for the responsibility part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think there's even some pride that I've taken in that, like being able to because once I had my own job, I had the means to, my dad handed over my car insurance, like all that kind of stuff, rent, everything like that, utilities. And it was kind of like gratifying to be able to like pay for that stuff on your own and not always have to rely on your parents, because like it just makes you feel like you can do this. Like that's why I always felt like it kind of sucked. Like you don't want to give that money away, but it's part of life and you have to. But it feels good to know that you can and you did it and you didn't ask for any help. So
I'm a very firm believer that once the kids, like, I don't know whose household isn't like this, but once kids hit 18, they are an adult. So they can do whatever they want, they seem. So I'm a firm believer that, okay, you're ready to be an adult. It's time for me to treat you like an adult, but I will ease into that adult stage. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, okay, well, here's your own car payment. Here's your own insurance, and you have to pay me a little bit of rent. Why do I have to pay rent? You're supposed to be my parents. You're supposed to let me, And it's like, they don't get it. It's like, I'm not doing this to have your money. I'm doing this so you can learn that, oh, wow, $250 living with my parents' house a month?
Yeah.
And when they tried, because they've tried to get their own place, and they saw that $1,300 for one bedroom, and they were like, there's no way I'm paying that. Well, that's where you're at. It's either live with your parents or you go pay that. And it's more than just, and the thing is, you can't get them to realize that it's more than just rent. There's utilities. There's your car payment. There's your insurance. None of that. We're not going to be like, okay, you're moving out. We're going to take all that back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Those memes always crack me up where it's like things I learned about adulting. Cheese is really expensive. Like I just feel like such like a, I don't know, like a penny pincher sometimes when I go shopping, because I'm like, $3 for sharp cheddar? Like, are you serious? Like, every single, like, part of the aisle. I'm like, this bread is $5? Like, did Jesus, like, bless it before they put it in the bag? Like,
$4 for a gallon of milk.
yeah, so it's like little things like that as a kid, you don't realize how much your parents are spending on that kind of thing. And even Christmas gifts, like this year, usually my parents will help me out with, like, mostly just my mom and dad, like, with their gifts. Like, they just help me and my brother pay for it. But this year, like, we completely paid for our, like, all of the Christmas gifts for them, and I paid for everyone's Christmas gifts on my own. And
How did it feel?
it
Yeah, how did that
sucks. Like,
feel?
you're like, for the month of December, you're so poor. And, like, if you even dare to spend something on yourself, you're like, oh, I'm so selfish. Like,
Yeah, that is very true.
it's the time of giving, damn it. I don't know.
I just want to give to myself.
I give to myself all year, though, so it's like but at the same time, it's a really good feeling. And then, like, I had way more of a stake in, like, those gifts, if that makes sense. So I was so much more worried, and I was like, I really hope they like it. And then, like, when they opened it and they really loved it, it just made me feel so good. So I don't know. That's something I never really saw coming, I guess, until, like, I started living it and doing it. It's like when you pay for things by yourself and they have a good outcome and you feel really responsible doing it, it's a good feeling. So I mean,
Awesome.
It sucks. Like, no one wants to pay for stupid stuff like car insurance. Like, I get annoyed with Progressive every day that I have to pay them but it is what it is.
Well, it's like 2 weeks ago, Michaela finally got her brand new car on her own.
Awesome.
Like, nobody's help.
Nice.
And I can tell that it's satisfying to her. Like, ooh, I got me a nice car now. My car's better than, Mike and my mom's. And I'm just, living the dream. But the thing is that I can see it's satisfying to her that she has a brand new car. She did it on her own. So it's like
and
baby
I bet
steps.
you anything that she takes better care of it because she paid for it. That's how I feel is like with my car. Like, I keep it super clean, and then my apartment and everything, like, I'm very clean about it. Or if, like, I buy clothes and they, like, it sounds silly, but it's like if it rips or gets lost, like, I get really pissed off because it's like I paid, like, damn it. And so I just, like, take so much better care of, like, everything that I have. And I don't know. There's definitely something to that if you paid for it.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I like the way you got introduced to adulting. I like that because it was basically, it's basically having a good set of parents and, with a set of parents with, great heads on their shoulders. And, they just eased you into adulting instead of saying, okay, here's the boot, get out, have a good day.
Yeah.
And they stuck by you the whole time. And, they let you adult, but they were standing behind the lines like, okay, I'm going to keep a close eye on you. And, that's how I see, people doing. I mean, people do it, parents do it different ways, but that's my way of doing it is, okay, letting you adult, me sitting on the sidelines and just watching you and make sure nothing happens. Make sure you don't fall. And
that your parents are there and if anything were to happen.
I mean, that's the great thing about them is, like, they know, like, they've made it very clear to me that they didn't just, like, drop me off on the side of the road and leave me forever. Like, I've definitely, like, even in LA, like, I had some really panicky moments where something bad happened, and they're just like, no matter what, like, we're going to have your back. Like, if you can't, like, pay for that thing right now, like, we're going to help you. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, that definitely took a lot of, like, anxiety off of me. So it's like they did a really great job of, like you said, like, sticking around, watching in the background, letting me handle it on my own, like, do my absolute best to handle it on my own and guide me along the way. But they didn't, like, completely never let go of me, and they didn't completely throw me off the edge of a cliff.
See, that's where I'm struggling right now with my kids is they don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but they don't know that, me and their mom, we have their back. Just because we, do certain things. We do everything for a reason. We don't just be like, we come home and we do something. We're like, I don't know, tough, deal with it. It's never like that. We always do something for a reason. So, as I talked about in episodes before where I just kicked my kid out, I did it for a reason. But my kid didn't know that I'm sitting here watching them You know, I'm not going to let any of my kids,
Right.
you know, something bad happen to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that. Like, they don't think I am, because I just hear from other people that they've went to and talked to. It's like, we gave up on them. We don't love them anymore, and this and that. And I keep saying that because that's true. That's exactly what had happened. But like with Michaela, I explained to her that, hey, I'm watching you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you, but you have got to learn how to adult. You have got to learn this now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
not
gotta-
when you're 35.
Right.
You got to try too. It's like there's definitely been moments where I felt stuck and I immediately ran to my parents and they're just like, well, you got to try something. Like, what can you do? Like, kind of
And
like
that's the thing.
walking me through it. You have to try. That's another thing, that before your parents can step in, they have to see that you did something. And like, as much as you don't want them to be in a crisis, I feel like it only takes, it takes something pretty bad where they feel like they have no other choice for them to know that you like will always have their back.
But they won't come to us. Like, when they get in that situation, they won't come to us. And it's like,
Yeah.
you can't fight this on your own right now because you have no clue what you're fighting. Like, you come to us for advice or something like that. That would make me feel a lot better, instead of them trying to take something that they have no clue what they're getting into, you know, on by themselves. And it's like, you know,
Yeah.
that's just the part I struggle with, is for them to know that, you know, what your parents did for you is exactly what I'm doing for them. It's like, look, I'm watching you.
Yeah. I mean, I think from their perspective, it's probably just like a pride thing, because there was like a lot of moments where it's like, once you kind of get a taste of adulting, like you really want to excel at it and do well and don't have to ask for help a lot, because it's kind of like brings you down a level and you don't want to have to like run to mommy and daddy. Like, that's how I always felt, and it kind of sucked. And I just felt like if I did make like somewhat of a mistake, one thing was I didn't want them to know. I didn't want them to know that I messed up. I didn't want to have to like
Interesting.
make it seem like I made a mistake and I can't get through it without them. But I mean, my boyfriend Riley helped me in a lot of senses when we were out in LA, and he's like, Hannah, like, they're your parents. They love you. They want to help you. I'm pretty sure they're probably just sitting by the phone waiting for you to call and ask for their help. Like, because you're out here, they're there. Like, they feel like they've done their job, but they still want to, like, help you, and they love you, and they love being your parents, and they're still there.
So when you moved back to
job,
Denver,
Riley.
did they come out and get you?
What?
When you moved back to Denver, did they come out there and help you move back here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, one of those moments that was pretty stressful for all of us was when I did have to move, and the cost of moving is kind of where like I had no other choice but to be like, Dad, like, I cannot afford it by myself.
Yeah,
And
which is understandable.
so he helped me out a lot, and me and Riley were fortunate enough to be able to split it a little bit, so that took the weight off a little bit, and I paid my dad back once I got back in Colorado and started getting like steady paychecks and everything. But that was really stressful, but they didn't hesitate at all to help me, and they were totally willing to drive. Like, my dad, like, he drove to and from California with me like a lot. Like, he just did it, and he just like, oh man, yeah, he's great. My dad's like kind of like wants to be a hard ass, but he just can't. It's not in him.
Well, you're his baby girl.
I'm his only girl,
yeah.
so he like basically will do anything for me, and I know that, but I also would never take advantage of that at the same time.
So since we're about to finish, I just want to kind of, you know, this is kind of for parents to kind of get an idea of like, you know, when their kids are getting older, when they're facing adulthood, like what the best steps for them are. So do you have any like advice, you know, basic advice for parents in terms of dealing with kids that are about to go into adulthood?
I mean, I think my parents really nailed it. Like, they basically, you kind of have to meet that happy medium of like knowing that you're there for them, but also like kind of showing them a little bit of tough love. Like, if you want to be respected as an adult, then you need to do these adult things by yourself. I'm not helping you. And then you just got to trust that they're going to take that, and it's going to be a learning experience for them, whether it's hard or easy or however they take it. It's just something that everyone has to go through if you want to mature and be an adult. And being an adult is kind of a privilege, like when you're still like in that limbo of like where
Thank you for saying that.
where Michaela is. Like, Michaela,
Thank you for saying that.
I would say Michaela's definitely probably in that limbo where she's like, okay, I still have my parents. I'm still kind of like relying on them a bit, but I want to be an adult. Like, she's like on her way out, so she's kind of like hitting the brake, hitting the gas, which I get. But yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of floating in that middle ground of being stern, letting them be an adult. Don't coddle them too much or they just won't learn. Like I've got some friends who I think are struggling because they just didn't learn that lesson from their parents. But don't drop them off the edge of the cliff because that really stings too.
Yes.
So.
Well,
Are you listening, Elise?
I am listening. I'm tempted to.
Don't leave them. Still love them. Forgive them when they make mistakes.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest part.
Great. That's
Well,
awesome
Hannah, it's
advice.
been an honor.
Yes, it has.
Of course.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad we got that side of the story because the way I explain it, it's kind of mean.
Well, it's kind of validation for you too for what you're doing
Oh yeah,
right now.
trust me,
you know?
I got to deal with kids
Yeah.
younger
Well,
than
just
adults.
know life's hard and we're still figuring it out. So us 20-somethings, just cut us some slack.
Well, thank you everyone for being with us today, and thank you, Hannah.
Yeah,
Go
of
check
course.
out.
Thanks for having
Oh my gosh, I just had a brain fart. What's it called?
Will You Accept This Rosé?
Accept this rosé?
Yeah, go watch our
Go
videos
check
if you're
that
having
out.
some bachelor withdrawals.
Yes, definitely.
And
Go-
definitely don't forget to check out ours, Parental Composure, at our community now YouTube. And we also have Parental Composure Facebook and Instagram, so go check those out. And again, an honor, Hannah. Thank
Yes.
you
Of course.
Thank
of course.
you.
Now the three of us have to go to work.
Maybe
Right.
I'll introduce you guys to the all-powerful Bill and Lise, my parents.
Oh yes.
Oh, that
Next
would be
time.
great.
We'll get some advice from them.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.